time for the final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts, Bill Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the professor, Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day, so join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
I don't care right now about the score games. I don't care whether we're tired or not tired. We're going to learn to do things the right way, and that's not going to stop. It's going to keep going, and if we win, great. If we don't win, that's okay. We're going to learn how to do things the right way.
You're not necessarily thinking that way. You just know, and you're just going to have trust in the process, and how you prepare and everything like that. You just gonna have to play well because they're a really good team. You can't afford to, have too many slip ups, too many mess ups, or anything like that. You're just gonna have to be on point and just play well, really.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Tuesday evening from downtown Columbia, Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the birthday boy, right? It's happy birthday to you, is it not?
Mm-mm.
Oh, come on.
No.
Don't. I think it is birthday.
No.
I sat next to you all day, and you didn't tell me that was your birthday?
No, it's not. It's several days away.
Well, I saw an email to you today from the Dragon that said happy birthday.
No, he's wrong. He's wrong. My birthday is on the 20th.
See, that was a trick.
12th.
That was just a trick to find out when his birthday actually was. I knew it was coming up.
You know my birthday is on the 20th.
Interesting. Happy Hanukkah to you, by the way.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That we will acknowledge the beginning of
The festival.
the Festival of Lights, Hanukkah. Yes, indeed. The first day of 8 days of presents for all the little kiddies.
Apparently, we had no oil left over for the heat lamps in here, apparently, though.
Indeed. Indeed. 800-956-7266. That's our phone number. Wide open for your calls tonight. Our email talkback at sportstalksc.com and on Twitter at SportsTalkSC, highlighting the recruiting from today as we are 8 days away from the signing day. That's going to be kind of weird. I still don't know. Got to see how it all plays out. I know Clemson tells me they're not doing anything special on signing day next Wednesday. In fact, they're having media day.
Right, for the bowl game.
So they're not really planning any kind of big shindig like they do on the February signing day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm told USC, at least from the media relations side, they're going to treat it like signing day. At least that was the initial email response I got back. My question was, how are you treating the early signing period? Are you treating it just, not doing anything special, or are you treating it like National Signing Day? And the response from Steve Fink at USC was they're treating it like National Signing Day. So I don't know exactly what that means. They're going to put up all the graphics, and if Muschamp's going to do a special signing day press conference sort of thing, I don't know. But it is coming up a week from Wednesday, and the top story that we have for you today in recruiting is a visit coming up this weekend for USC. Linebacker Rosendo Lewis, Deerfield Beach, Florida, got that confirmed from his coach today. If you look at the pictures of this guy, very good-looking athlete.
Stud.
Very good-looking athlete. Been committed to Florida State, but with their turnover there, South Carolina's worked its way into really good shape with him.
It's really kind of poaching season right now with a lot of the movement that we've seen. I know a lot of people are decommitting from Tennessee. That's how South Carolina's been able to make some moves there as well. And, Florida State has been a big one. A&M, there have been some decommits as well. So this is kind of the season, and almost kind of why this is a brand new animal with this early signing period, because not only do you have coordinators changing places and assistants changing places and head coaches in new places as well, but you're having guys kind of who probably might have had their mind made up now having to think about things a little bit more as we sit here 8 days before the first chance to sign for next year.
And it fuels Muschamp because he has a reputation, whether coaches are shifting or not, as the flipper.
Yeah, it's added an extra level to the decision-making process too. Right. Players have to decide, A, where do I want to go to school? B, do I want to sign early? C, do I want to enroll early? D, do I want to wait till February?
And not only that, but like you have guys who have like a particular recruiter and some will follow the recruiter elsewhere, or, people don't want to necessarily go where there is a lack of stability, which is why we're talking about kind of the stability that is at least kind of shifted now with South Carolina and not keeping Kurt Roper around, because that was a reason why he said early on, well, as far as I'm concerned, he's coaching in the bowl game. You never want to give the air of instability for your program, because that makes your program look less attractive to prospective recruits, and therefore it gives you an air of reasons why things might actually come out and change. So this is the reason why I think Will Muschamp was probably a little vague about those things.
Yeah. Well, I call it not being truthful. The only thing that bothered me about it was if he had – he said what he said, and that's fine. If it had not been reported on a Gamecock website, what was happening? And then the very next day, they reported that contrary to what he said, this is what's happening. So what it tells me is that he knew full and well. He knew exactly what he was going to do, and people within his organization knew exactly what he was going to do.
Well, the other
that
part of
Roper
this,
was out, and McClendon was going to be calling the plays at the bowl game. And you got your media in there asking you an honest question. You did not give an honest answer. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
Part of this, again, goes back to the whole situation involving Rice. And Rice had not made an announcement about their future yet. And at least the way that this whole thing goes, he wanted to at least give the air of the fact that he was supporting Kurt Roper. And
did he even get an interview for Rice? Did he even get an interview?
I'm not sure if he did or not. But
I never saw where he got an interview. His name was floated out there, as the guys do. They float name. They look for graduates who are in situations to look for jobs.
But the fact that immediately following Rice's announcement, we get the announcement from South Carolina that Roper is no longer there, leads me to believe that there was at least some talk going on behind the scenes.
Probably so. Yeah, probably. Or hope. Maybe it was more like hope that he would find a job somewhere before
it would look
he
clean
had to drop
if he
the
got
it would have been a cleaner break.
I don't disagree with that. I truly don't disagree with that. 800-956-7266. Let's go ahead and jump to the phones and get the calls warmed up tonight and warm up our studio with your heat. Bulldog Bert in Saluda. Hello, BB. Have you started your drive to the West Coast to get out to the Rose Bowl?
I am on my congratulations tour, and I wanted to pit stop on Sports Talk tonight to get my congratulations from you for doing what we said we was going to do. The first episode of Sports Talk College Football Preview, that Georgia would be in the Final Four and we would win the SEC.
Congratulations, Bert.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
You are so much smarter than anybody else who witnesses, covers, talks about the SEC.
Well, when he picks them every year, I think, eventually you're going to get a right answer on.
We are smart because we have the smartest coach in college football.
Is that right?
And he has proven everything he said he was going to do, he is going to do it.
Is he clairvoyant too? Did he know that Cameron Petway diving in the end zone against Alabama would make him a little bit banged up for Georgia when they got the game? Did he see that coming?
I mean, Kerryon Johnson.
Kerryon Johnson, yeah.
Banged up, whatever.
He wasn't. He don't want
when we go to the road.
He wasn't so smart when he only won 8 games the first year. Now, was he, Bulldog Bert?
Well, he has redeemed himself, and he deserves a statue in Sanford Stadium now.
Be honest. When you were only up 14.5 on South Carolina, how much were you sweating?
Sweating? I was sweating. I was sitting in the air conditioning. But anyway, I'm looking forward to the outcome of the Rose Bowl. I think it's going to be pretty.
Can they put that statue? Can they put that statue next to the convertible, the bronze convertible outside the stadium, the one that was given to Herschel to get him to come to Georgia? Can they put that statue next to that bronze convertible?
I don't know. We're moving to the end zone. You know that. So I don't know. They're re-engineering Georgia.
You just completely dodged the question there.
Okay, Bert. I'm sure we'll hear from you between now and New Year's. Thank you very much. Happy Hanukkah to you. I'm sure you celebrate.
Happy Hanukkah to you.
Wow.
800-956-7266 is the number.
I just hope they're all like that today. I just want them all to be like that.
Back in a moment.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
Speaking of Georgia, Kirby Smarts, he and his linebackers coach were in Columbia today to visit with Channing Tindall over at Spring Valley High School, one of their top targets.
Interesting.
Which goes back to talking about USC's official visit for this coming weekend in Rosendo Lewis, linebacker out of Florida. You know, back in the spring, as all this recruiting for the 2018 class was starting to pick up steam, it looked like South Carolina was a lock for Channing Tindall and for Dax Holyfield, the third out of Shelby, North Carolina. They were in great shape with both of those guys. They both said the right thing about South Carolina. Both made multiple visits. Those two guys are going to be the linebackers for USC's 2018 class for all the right reasons. But boy, it has fallen apart. Apparently, well, I'm not going to say with Tindall. You know, Holyfield's down to Stanford, North Carolina, Virginia Tech.
Right.
And he said South Carolina stopped recruiting him. There was a report that he had an
injury,
a shoulder.
Yeah.
But that makes no sense to me. You don't stop
Right.
recruiting a great player. And by all accounts, he's a great player. He's playing in the Shrine Bowl.
Right.
Channing Tindall's got a shoulder. He's not playing in the Shrine Bowl.
Correct.
What does that tell you? Dax Holyfield is playing in the Shrine Bowl. And anyway, the excuse was on one of the websites was that his shoulder, South Carolina, he didn't pass a physical or something on his visit. They don't give you physicals during an official visit. So I don't know what it was. I don't know if that was created out of whole cloth or what. But when I asked him about it, he said it didn't have anything to do with his shoulder. So I don't know what. But apparently, you know, they fell out of favor with him, or he fell out of favor with them, and they went the other way. And now Channing Tindall, you know, South Carolina's still very much in it.
Right.
Georgia has got a tie with him through his stepfather, who is an avid Georgia fan, but his mom is a USC grad.
Right.
And they've been recruiting him hard as well. So it's the choice to and of course Auburn's involved too, and the recruiter from Auburn is a former Spring Valley linebacker, so they've got that tie. But you've got your chance to play in your own backyard and with a team that could compete for the SEC, or you got a chance to go down the road a bit, 2.5 hours, and play for a team that's in the national championship hunt.
I don't want to make this sound like I'm being critical of the young man.
No, you would never do that.
But what I will say is this, just in noticing the behavior, and you've talked about the fact that he doesn't really like to talk a lot about his recruiting, but he is displaying a lot of the behaviors of what happens when a guy, you know, wants to maybe spread his wings and go somewhere beyond where his big school is. And we've seen a lot of guys, whether it's here, whether it's elsewhere, when you grow up in the shadows of a big school like that, sometimes you feel the draw of home, and other times you feel the desire of wanting to go out. And I'm not being critical of his desire to go to Georgia. He can go wherever he wants, and that's fine. And going to Georgia would be an amazing choice. It's a school that's in the college football playoff that no one would begrudge him for going to Georgia. But I will say this. If you wanted to go to South Carolina, one would think he'd be trumpeting he'd be leading the band and saying, hey, I'm staying home, I'm doing this whole thing. One would think he would be getting out more in front of that and being all vocal about it.
You know, I wish I could tell you more, and I hesitate to say this because it'll come off like sour grapes and whining. Okay.
Right.
But, and I've expressed this to the people over at Spring Valley. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tout my track record of covering recruiting for over 30 years. I've talked to thousands of coaches and players in our state, most of which are happy to hear from you and more than willing to at least fill you in on what's going on in some form or fashion, or at least tell you, hey, look, we can't talk about it and we can't answer your questions. It has been impossible,
right,
for me. Can't speak for anybody else. From the coaches to the player to anybody involved, it's like it's like a
Fort Knox.
super secret, except for what they tweet out. They tweeted out a picture of Tyndall with the Georgia people. They tweeted out a picture of Tyndall with the Auburn people yesterday because they visited the school, and that's all well and good. But in terms of trying to find out something directly, and look, I understand it's the player's right. If he doesn't want to tell you anything, I say you, I'm talking about me or anybody else. No, he doesn't have to share anything with you. I'm just saying most of the time they're more than happy to talk with you about it. Now, an indication of if a player is not staying in the coverage area that you're calling from, in my case, South Carolina or Clemson, or in his case, it would be South Carolina, they don't readily talk to you.
Right.
They don't see the need. There's no need for me to talk to him. I'm not going to the school he covers. Right. So maybe that's an indication that he is going to Georgia or he is going to Auburn. Yeah. So, but I'm just saying this has been for me, a very difficult recruiting situation.
Saga.
And what's sad is I live a mile from the school.
Right.
I mean, I see the lights of the school from my backyard practically.
Wow.
And
you could see Channing Tyndall from your house.
Yeah, exactly. From my back porch.
That's not creepy at all, is it?
And I can't get booed.
Well, what I'm trying to figure out is fans always think that talent is finite, and it's not.
No.
And I go back again, ironically, to the situation where South Carolina has a top linebacker out of Virginia. He flips the Muschamp, and they go down to Florida, and they find Sky Moore. Suppose they get the guy from Virginia, Sky Moore never comes to South Carolina.
That was actually Spurrier. That was actually Spurrier. Yeah. Then he goes.
No, I was talking about Muschamp flipped the guy from Virginia and brought him to Florida.
I got you. Right.
But and again, here's the thing: there's no guarantee that he's going to be, the superstar player. But it makes South Carolina look bad if he's in your backyard and goes and stars somewhere else.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to protect your backyard at all costs. All right, let's go back to the phones. Brady in Columbia. Welcome into Sports Talk, Brady. How are you?
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Man, we're doing great.
Well, I want to give a couple comments on the recruits y'all talking about linebacker, and then I'll give you my take on Tyndall.
Yeah.
First is, Phil, I think with Jackson Holyfield. I think we made an effort early to really get in with him. We did everything we could, brought him on, multiple visits, unofficial, brought him on campus. We just never could get over the hump. I think they backed off, guys, because we never could get better than 2. We were always 2 or 3. And eventually you see the writing on the wall. He just was never coming here, guys. He was just never coming here. So they just kind of backed off.
Cut their losses kind of thing?
Do what now?
They kind of cut their losses?
Yeah. It wasn't going to happen. It was not going to happen.
Now, what made you – where do you get your information that he was never coming to South Carolina? He made many visits. He took an official visit in November. He never publicly dropped South Carolina. So what makes you believe he wasn't coming?
Well, I'm just telling you what I know. But you can take it or leave it. I'm just telling you what I know.
All right, go ahead.
But again, no. This is my information. Now I'm saying it's 100% accurate. I'm just telling what I know.
Cool.
What I was told was that we never got to 1 or in the lead or where you feel like we can get this kid. And Will's one of the. He's not gonna. Now he's gonna. If you're a player now, Will's gonna get on you and he's gonna recruit the heck out of you. He ain't gonna let up now. But if he feels like he ain't gonna get you, he's gonna cut bait. Now with a guy like Tyndall, you can't do that. But guys, it's been Georgia for a while, y'all. I mean, Phil, it's been Georgia for a while. He's going to Georgia, y'all. And it's been done for a while, I think.
Yep.
I just don't think we ever, and I'll tell you one thing I'll tell you a couple things on him is, Phil, you can go back and Phil, you've been in Columbia and I don't know why, but we've just never been strong with Spring Valley kids. I mean, am I right, Phil? We have never been strong with those kids. Now, without saying we haven't got a guy here or there, but as a general rule, Spring Valley's always been tough for South Carolina, and I don't know why that is.
You're right. But Florida State's come in and gotten players. Georgia, if you're right, Georgia's going to get this player. I'm trying to think of the last true Spring Valley player to go to USC.
The thing that's sad, too, is that there's one other linebacker that's committed in this class. So he could be the crown jewel at linebacker for this class. There's a brilliant opportunity for him to come in and contribute right away for South Carolina if he was to come here.
Are you recruiting Tyndall for South Carolina.
I'm not.
over the airwaves?
I'm just saying that's will be a reason to come there.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Full recruiting report coming up in a few minutes. Also coming up for you tonight, going to hear from Dabo Sweeney. He's meeting with the media as we speak. Tigers practicing for their bowl game, and first time we've had a chance to talk to Sweeney in these parts since the ACC championship game. So we'll hear from him. Also, Bob Iback will be back to talk more about the footballs that you can order, and we'll be giving some away in some form or fashion.
Would you say Bob is eye back?
Yes, I think you could say that.
You could say he's high back.
And we'll hear from the Tigers' Christian Wilkins and or Cleveland Farrell tonight. Got all that coming your way. 800-956-7266. Couple lines have opened up. So if you've been trying to get through and they've been ringing busy at you, you can reach us now. We go to James in Rock Hill. James, welcome into Sports Talk. How you doing?
Doing good. How you guys doing?
Good.
I listen to y'all every week, and I usually don't call, but the Georgia guy, it just keeps coming to my head. What exactly has Kirby Smart proven? Is that he can get his butt kicked by a full Auburn team and then barely squeak by a depleted Auburn team? Or that guy just, every time he calls in, he makes me laugh, and I swear he does. My question is this, and it's actually for you, Corn. I'm a Packer all day, every day. I was very ugly on Sunday.
Yes.
I don't want to talk about it, but we got a W. We're still sort of in the playoff hunt. I've been on Twitter all day, and I hadn't seen anything about Aaron, and I didn't know if you'd heard anything about if he's going to play, if they're going to sit him or what. And I'll get the answer off the air. Love your show. I'll listen to y'all. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. I haven't heard anything more. Now, Sunday, everybody was optimistic and saying he'll be ready to go. Wednesday's the big day of the week in the NFL. That's the big practice day. That's the media day. So we'll probably find out more tomorrow.
Saying it really comes down, and he looked like today he wanted to say he'd play, but it's a medical decision because they're thinking about Rodgers still several years playing time. So he says it's going to come down to medical decision within the next 2 or 3 days.
Tuesday is their usual off day / charity day. Their big media day and stuff comes Wednesday, Thursday. Those kind of decisions are made then.
All right, 800-956-7266. Last night, if you didn't see this, Buddy Pugh, longtime football coach at South Carolina State, the school announced he's going to coach one more year. In a release by the AD, Stacey Danley, who I believe played football at Auburn.
That name sounds familiar.
Look that up. I'm pretty sure he played, and he might have been a running back at Auburn. Check that out. He said, quote, "I believe this decision is best for the overall athletics program as we begin to focus on transitioning and move into rebuilding mode. I believe this decision is best." Oh, that's the same statement. I guess it just was repeated here in the print. Pugh has been the head coach at South Carolina State for 16 seasons. And, of course, he's a graduate of the school, but they have struggled of late, 5-6 in 2016, 3-7 this season.
That is a thumbs up on the former Auburn
running back. Thought I recognized that name. Yeah, he's a couple of years into his tenure, maybe even less than that, into his tenure as the AD. So, I mean, it certainly sounds like this was a decision.
Less than a year, in fact.
This was a decision, made by State and not by Buddy Pugh. And, of course, everybody around the state admires Buddy Pugh from his high school coaching days to his days as an assistant with Lou Holtz at South Carolina, and then as the head coach at his alma mater. He's done a great job.
And, of course, you got to keep an eye on the MEAC itself. When one of your crown jewels bolts in Hampton and goes to the Big South, and then you think maybe some other schools are in the state of flux at this point.
Former Citadel coach Mike Houston, boy, he must like it at James Madison. Well, he's 27-1 right now, still in the playoffs. He has signed a 10-year contract extension.
Wouldn't you like it?
With that team. Keeps him under contract through the 2027 season. Of course, we all know that if something big came along and he wanted to bolt, he could probably figure a way out of that. But still, that's pretty sweet. The FCS AP All-American team, Furman center Matthew Schmidt, was named to the second team.
Very nice.
Very good player. First team All-SoCon. And he was also the Jacobs Blocking Award winner this year. And in basketball today, they had a matinee game over at South Carolina State.
Yeah, big overtime win for SC State.
91-88. SC State, Dante Wright hit a three-pointer with 4.2 seconds left in overtime to lift the Bulldogs over Charleston Southern, 91-88. State is 3-9. Charleston Southern falls to 4-4 with the loss.
I wanted to get into this a little bit since we were talking about recruiting. The KJ Henry coach dad thing, that whole thing makes me very uncomfortable. The floating out of maybe I could go where my dad coaches type thing. Like that to me, it seems inappropriate to bring up in a public forum in my mind. Does that not irk you a little bit?
Well, I mean, he was asked the question by a reporter
Right.
who had been hearing talk of that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
and he gave an answer. I actually was more surprised by the answer and the fact that he did answer it as definitely as he did. I mean, he didn't hem or haw around it. He came right out and said, yeah, if my dad gets a job at one of these schools, that's going to impact my decision. Of course, the job would have to come within 8 days.
Right.
Because he's signing on the 20th.
I find that to be a little awkward in my mind, especially because of the fact that the last thing you want to do is turn this into a, like Danny Manning situation or things of that nature, like guys have done in the past, the Porter situation in Missouri. I don't like seeing those types of things happen because it spews to the kind of, we will do anything to get a particular guy. And he's a very highly touted player. I would hate for it to come down to something like that.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Yeah. I'm going to be at Shrine Bowl practice tomorrow, and I plan to talk to KJ after practice and ask him more about that. So hopefully I'll be able to get him to the side, and we can talk about things and kind of see where that's heading.
And some coaches will say, if I don't do it, somebody else will.
Well, what I'd like to know is, if he can share it with us, is, do you know if any of the 5 that you're considering, any of them has reached out to your dad and said, hey, you got a job here if you want one. You can be our running backs coach.
Well, I was also looking at what the challenge Muschamp told him. You want to go somewhere in a solid weather, or you want to be a trailblazer like Jadeveon Clowney and come somewhere where we hadn't done anything and stand out. Look at him now.
Don't say they haven't done anything. You don't want to say they haven't done anything.
Well, he didn't say it that way, but you know what he's saying.
Would be slight to 3 straight 11-win seasons, and
but that's partly because
some nice
of Jadeveon Clowney.
If they hadn't messed up in 1984 against Navy, were you at that game?
No,
up in Annapolis.
I was not.
I mean, you go to the Navy games, right?
I've been to an Army Navy game. I've been
so
to
you
one.
Weren't there.
I was not there in '84. No.
So you know the story.
I'm aware of where you're going. Yeah.
I mean, the Gamecocks were ranked number 2 in the country.
Yes.
Penn State lost. I think Penn State was number 1, if I'm not mistaken. And South Carolina stood to become number 1. All they had to do was beat Navy.
And they couldn't.
No, they got beat badly.
And
then
triple option that day too.
No, I'm pretty sure. Okay. I'm pretty sure. And it cost them. It cost them. Bob Markham, the athletics director, had already, from what I understand, had turned down the Orange Bowl and accepted a Sugar Bowl. I mean, they were ready to go to the Sugar Bowl,
right?
Play for the national and have a chance to win the national championship. Who knows what that would have done for South Carolina's football program as an independent at that time?
I always argued that I've always had the feeling that they would not have gotten out of Death Valley alive with a win. I think that loss,
if they were undefeated.
I think that loss helped them beat Clemson.
True.
In that game, because they were down 21-3, and Joe Barson went on 4th down and 5, and they called a quarterback draw 21-10. They ended up winning the whole second half, 22-21.
Motivations are what they are. Gentlemen.
All right, we'll come back, take more of your phone calls, and we've got recruiting coming up for you after the break as well. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. By the way, the Southern Conference Player of the Week in basketball, none other than Wofford guard Fletcher McGee, the guy who sank Georgia Tech as Wofford went 2-0 on the week, and he's having a terrific season. Back in a moment.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at SportsTalkSC.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, 800-956-7266. Recruiting in a moment. State's finest Christmas trees are still on sale throughout the state at your local South Carolina Department of Agriculture Farmers Market. Celebrate the holidays, make your home beautiful, and support our farmers today. Trees are available until Christmas Eve. Let's hit the phones one more time, then we'll do recruiting for you here tonight on Sports Talk. And we are headed next to Matt in Union. Hello, Matt. Welcome to Sports Talk.
Hey, guys. First of all, let me say, real big fans of the show. I listen to you guys as much as I can.
Thank you.
I also host a sports show at our local radio station down here in Union. So I listen to you guys and get some pointers and some tips all the time whenever I can. So
we appreciate that.
Yes, sir. My question to you guys is kind of an opinionated kind of thing. Just want to kind of pick your brains a little bit. We've been a picture last week about all the bowls that are coming up for the end of the college football season. Other than the college football playoff, the 2 games there, what are some of the college football bowl games that you guys are looking forward to? And you know, if you can just talk about that, some of the games that you're looking forward to watching other than the 2 games in the college football playoff. I'll get the answer all there. Enjoy listening to you guys, and thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Well, we thank you. Of course, Michigan, South Carolina will be high up on the list. What else do I think here would be entertaining? Notre Dame, LSU would be pretty entertaining, I think.
Southern Cal, Ohio State, Cotton Bowl.
Cotton Bowl,
Yeah, any of the New Year's 6 games are going to be
Missouri, Texas. In the Texas Bowl.
Yeah.
And of course, I love to see Mississippi State's defense. They can be salty at times trying to chase around Louisville's quarterback.
On a serious note, I am very curious to see how the SEC fares in its bowl games, because there have been a lot of momentum for a lot of these matchups to go the way of the non-SEC school. I'm wanting to see how they match up in those games against, obviously, the non-SEC opponent.
Now, seriously, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State in the Camping World Bowl in Orlando could be an interesting matchup, seeing Mason Rudolph against that Virginia Tech defense. I think that'd be an interesting matchup. Also looking forward to the always important that you watch. Where'd it go? Oh, UAB versus Ohio in the Bahamas Bowl.
How about Iowa, Boston College, sneaky 2-7-5 schools in the Pinstripe Bowl?
Yeah.
That's nice.
You know, the bowl season begins on Saturday. They have how many? 6, 7 games. We got the Camellia, the New Mexico, the Las Vegas, the Cure, the New Orleans, and the Celebration. Has 6 bowl games. Of course, the Celebration is not really a bowl game in terms of it being a bowl. It's a matchup of the MEAC and the SWAC.
Yeah.
Right.
But 5 bowl games
football.
in that.
Still football.
So it's coming at us.
How about
quickly.
How about Stanford, TCU?
Yeah, that could be interesting.
In the
I think Stanford's had a very disappointing season. Now, part of the reason for that is that the great running back Love was hurt part of the year. And I think
last chance to see him possibly.
Well, one of the things you look at this year that I think just on the surface that you don't see as we get to the bigger bowls is you always look at the team that wants to be there and the one that was hoping for something bigger, and they just don't show up.
All about motivation.
I don't see any of that in these matchups, because if you're Ohio State, yes, you wanted to be in the Final Four, but you don't want to look ugly against Southern California.
Beware of the places that also had coaching changes as well.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for your phone call. Certainly appreciate it. 800-956-7266. You guys discuss something for another 30 seconds.
Oh,
I need about 30 seconds.
You need 30 seconds.
Give me 30 seconds to finish what I was doing here.
Oh, I thought the big man was already in the building.
I was waiting for the king to get in the building and talk about recruiting.
What we were trying to ask, and I was asking you, is that, I would have thought we'd seen more action in the hot stove league at this point.
Yeah.
As far as when the meetings are.
Well, the Yankees have been pretty hot.
Other than the Stanton and the Chase Headley
trade.
It's been rather
empire,
It's been rather cold.
But we've heard that, the rumors of Jackie Bradley Jr.
apparently
maybe on the market.
Well,
out of
apparently
Red
they've
Sox land, which
apparently
would
they-
make Corn happy to get him
Extremely
out of
happy.
the Eastern Division.
they came out today and said it looks like that any of that talk has been cooled. So looks
Ooh.
like he's
That guy has been a thorn in the Yankees side ever since he made it up to the big leagues. In fact, his debut was in Yankee Stadium, was it not? Am I correct about
think
that?
that's
Didn't he
correct.
make his debut in Yankee
Another
Stadium?
sneaky bowl game. Chris Peterson returns to the scene of the crime for the Fiesta Bowl, where he won with Boise State when his Washington Huskies play Penn State in the Fiesta Bowl.
And of course, if you want a holiday explosion, it seems to happen every time in this bowl, no matter who plays, is the Holiday Bowl in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
When you probably score about 90 points a game in that football game. Of course, years and years ago, Brigham Young would always play in that game with that high-powered offense, but other offenses have come in there the last few years and won big.
Have we vamped to your satisfaction?
Let me see. And
still no Channing Tatum.
Yeah, I think we're good.
This is live for you folks.
So let's do it. Hey, have we got my walk up? We might as well remind people who's in the house right now as we do recruiting.
I said the King's in the building. Tell me how you feeling.
I feel fine.
King's in the building.
King was a little verklempt earlier.
The Frosty King.
Yeah, I said the King's in the building.
All right, to recruiting. Last night, USC got a commitment for 2019 offensive lineman Jalen Nichols, 6'5", 290 out of Charlotte, giving the Gamecocks 3 commitments in the class. He was offered by the Gamecocks in the summer after attending camp in Columbia. He also has an offer from Indiana, plus he has drawn interest from North Carolina, Arkansas, Virginia Tech. Attended games this past season at USC, Virginia Tech, and North Carolina. He likes the coaches. He likes Muschamp Wilford. Wilford's told him he needs improvement. Right future. He primarily plays offensive tackle. Right now, he's planning to sign in December of 2018. Linebacker Rosendo Lewis of Deerfield Beach, Florida, will take his official to USC this weekend. His coach confirmed today. Of course, the dead period starts on Monday. He plans to sign December 20th and enroll early. He's been a Florida State commitment. The Gamecocks are very much in the mix. He was high on South Carolina early, said his coach, Javon Glenn. He committed to Florida State, and with the coaching change, he had to look at things, but South Carolina was always one of his favorites. And he said Travaris Robinson's done a good job with him, building the relationship. He said Oklahoma and Miami also recruited Lewis hard. Parents will join him on the visit, and when they come back, he'll get together with his coach and talk things out. He had 98 tackles, 5 sacks, 1 interception this season, first team all-county. USC offered 2018 wide receiver Rashad Bateman of Tifton, Georgia, Monday, as did Tennessee. He had been committed to Minnesota since the spring, and his coach said today the offers will not change his mind. He said, quote, he is sticking with his commitment to Minnesota and signing this month. That is from Coach Ashley Anders. He said USC's McClendon had been by a couple of times, but he committed to Minnesota back in the summer. He is sticking to that. Very good receiver, 85 catches, 1,539 yards, 21 touchdowns. As we mentioned earlier, Georgia coach Kirby Smart and his linebackers coach Glenn Schumann, I think it is, made his in-home visit. Made the visit with Spring Valley linebacker Channing Tindall today. Auburn was in last night or yesterday afternoon with Gus Malzahn in to see Channing Tindall. USC offered 2020 defensive end Sergio Allen, Fort Valley, Georgia, 2020 linebacker Kevin Swint of Carrollton, Georgia, 2019 running back Jerrion Ely of Flowood, Mississippi. Clemson offered 2019 defensive back Anthony Harris of Havelock, North Carolina. USC has also offered him. Conway quarterback Darren Granger committed to Furman. Running back Tyshawn Corbin of Rockledge, Florida, told 24/7 Sports he'll visit TCU this weekend. Previously, he had talked to visiting Clemson this weekend. He said he still might be visiting Clemson in January. Wide receiver Justin Ross of Phoenix City, Alabama, has a final 3 of Clemson, Alabama, and Auburn. USC offered 2020 defensive back Javier Morton of Stone Mountain, Georgia. He's been committed to Alabama. A little bit more coming up after the break.
Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network coming up. We'll hear from Dabo Sweeney. Also going to try and connect again with Dave Gutshaw, the Shrine Bowl coach. Bob Eibach will be along in a little bit. Going to wrap up recruiting. Just had a couple of more notes to share with you. And those are USC offered 2020 defensive back Javier Morton of Stone Mountain, Georgia. I think I said this. He committed to Alabama earlier in the month. Got some other big-time offers. Do we still consider Tennessee big-time?
Yeah.
Tennessee, Auburn, Ohio State. I mean, or should we consider Tennessee like FAU, FIU,
No.
UT?
I think they would have been big time if Greg Schiano got hired there, but not if Jeremy.
You're
Pruitt
not a
got
big
hired
Jeremy
there.
Pruitt fan, huh? USC also offered 2019 defensive end Austin Lee Williams of Tifton, Georgia. First offer. Then Minnesota later offered. But he thinks South Carolina would be a perfect fit. He said, man, South Carolina really loves me. And being that they were my first offer, they will be getting a lot of love.
Sometimes it's good to be first.
Oh, yeah. A lot of times it is good to be first. Let's see. I think I've mentioned all this other stuff here. Did I mention that Trey Hill of Warner Robins, Georgia, committed to Georgia? One-time Clemson target.
You did not.
Big lineman. If they get they've got Trey Hill, Georgia does. And they're probably going to get Jamari Sawyer from Pace Academy in Atlanta to go along with that freshman tackle who came from Pace Academy, who starts for them at left tackle now.
They probably put a nice little starting offensive line with just the people who are going in next year.
They're they're looking good. They'll have DeAndre Swift.
Yes,
he'll be the lead back. If Zamir White gets healthy, he'll get a crack. Of course, you still have Holyfield back next year for them.
And Mr. Fromm.
Fromm will be back. What do you think Olsen will do?
Olsen.
Jacob Eason.
Oh, Eason. Yeah,
Washington,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Go back to Seattle.
Think he'll go back to Seattle?
Yes. I think Peterson will make a call. He'll go.
Well, I'm very interested to see what happens with the Shea Patterson situation, because if Shea Patterson can get a waiver to play right away at Michigan, this could open.
Could he start against the Gamecocks?
No. But I'm just saying, this could open the door for a lot of these guys who are in situations like Patterson's, where, if you get in a situation where things change, that could really murky up the waters as far as the transfer game goes.
Jacob Park is leaving Iowa State.
Yes.
The former Mr. Football out of Stratford High School. Of course, he has been a journeyman. He has been a journeyman in college football. He started at Georgia, then went to a junior college, then went to Iowa State. Now he's looking for another school.
Sounds like Jeff George.
And, he was the starter at Iowa State, and then he got hurt, right?
And then lost his job.
Yeah. All right, so there you go with that. Okay, 800-956-7266. That's recruiting. You can check out our recruiting, our website all the time, sportstalksc.com, and on Twitter, use the hashtag STRecruiting. That'll take you right to all our stories that we write, both on our website and other notes that we happen to tweet out. We go to Barry in Fort Mill for our next call here tonight on Sports Talk. Hey, Barry, how are you?
Oh, fine. How y'all doing tonight?
Good to have you with us.
I tried to call in the other night, and y'all were pretty well filled up and everything. But it was a night that Tony Elliott, the offensive coordinator for Clemson, was on.
Yes.
And the question I had with y'all, I'm a real strong Carolina fan, but my question is, it seemed like to me that Clemson unnecessarily exposed Kelly Bryant, to a lot of hits. Even, during the middle and latter part of the season, and even in the Carolina game. And I wish I could have got the call in, but he was on there, that night where he could have, responded to it, because it's, most of the time, especially when they were playing Carolina, they were moving the ball well, and they weren't in any danger of, losing the game. And now they had the game coming up with Miami and everything. It just kind of amazed me that they kept exposing him. He took a lot of pretty severe hits in that game. And just like wanted to ask you a basketball question. Would you have any idea when Bianca Cuevas Moore would be coming back to the Lady Gamecocks, and if there's any chance of Felder coming back to the men's team? And I'll hang up and listen.
I'll handle Felder, and Pro will handle the women's question because he's our USC women's basketball.
But you've gone to more games this year than I have.
Aficionado.
One.
Felder, he and Frank Martin should be meeting pretty soon. Martin plans to get with him during the break, and I guess they're kind of in their break right now, so that meeting could be taking place anytime. We meet with Frank on Thursday, so we could get an update, and so we'll let you know. As far as
Bianca Cuevas, she is not wearing her knee brace when she practices, but still have not been cleared to play. She's got a sprained knee. I think the transfer guard from Penn State, who's been shooting the three very well, Span, also nursing a knee injury. And as far as Tia Cooper is concerned, they're waiting for all her grades to come from the fall semester before making a petition to the NCAA to get her maybe to play for the balance of the year.
To answer the Kelly Bryant question,
well, he's a runner. He's a 6'3", 6'4" quarterback, well put together, and he's built to run the football as a quarterback.
There's no reason that you should be worried about that.
Let's go to the phones. We have with us Sandlapper coach Dave Gutshaw after another hard day of work on the practice fields over at Dorman High School. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you, Phil?
We're great. We're great. Would you love to have Kelly Bryant in your offense and run him till his tongue drags the ground?
Oh, I would. I'll take him in a minute.
But you got a couple of guys that can run it. You got a couple of guys. Yeah. How was practice today?
It was good. I think we're really trying to figure out, how to get the ball to, Darren Kendrick and of course Joyner playing good and we're running the ball. So I got a couple quarterbacks can run football.
RJ Roderick joined you guys today. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's on his way here. I think he's in town. He's stuck right now in a Christmas break.
Huh.
We hopefully have him in the hotel in the next few minutes.
Yeah, that Christmas parade runs right through downtown by the Marriott. I've seen it back up traffic for miles. So what's the deal with him? Who's he replacing, and how quickly can you get him mixed in with what you're doing?
Well, he replaced Reed Stanley from York. Got injured. In fact, we're really a banged-up football team. I guess these guys haven't played in 3 or 4 weeks. They're just sore. Hopefully, we're going to have them all back by Saturday. But he's going to play safety in this ball game, the same thing that USC's been recruiting him as. And he's a little, he's been a quarterback all year, but he's quite an athlete, so we're hoping he'll pick it up real quick.
You guys been a little rough on him in practice, it sounds like.
Well, believe it or not, we have not been live, but it's all things about ankles. And some of them came in banged up.
Yeah.
They've been playing long seasons, and when they started practicing again, that thing that they thought was healed was not necessarily healed all the way.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's anything real serious, but it is affecting practice.
Tuesday's always, to me, kind of the tough day for the guys in the Shrine Bowl. I mean, Monday, they're excited to be back out there on the practice field. And Tuesday's sort of the beginning of the grind. Then Wednesday, they sort of see the end of the light at the end of the tunnel. How did you see their energy level and their focus today?
Well, we were disappointed today. It's like what you said. Tuesday is a tough day, but we had a couple of kids that stood up and showed a lot of leadership qualities today. And we talked to the kids at the end of the second practice and pointed those guys out, and then we had to pick it up. And you have to play 100% all the time, but they'll be fine. They're learning a lot. I think some of them are a little bit confused, but we're hoping that by the end of tomorrow that we're all together.
Well, listen, we'll let you run, and I'll see you after practice in the morning. Plan to come up and watch you guys a little bit, and we thank you for your time tonight, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
Thank you so much. Dave Gutshaw, head coach at Dorman, also the head coach of the Sandlappers, South Carolina's football team. We all pull for the Sandlappers in December. Back in a moment.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
You know, it's that time of year. Everybody has got to have one. Well, practically everybody has got to have one. If you haven't gotten one yet, we certainly remind you to go out and get it. We're talking about the state's finest Christmas trees. They're still on sale around the states at your local South Carolina Department of Agriculture Farmers Market. Celebrate the holidays. Make your home beautiful. Support our farmers today. Trees are available until Christmas Eve. Have you bought yours yet? We talked about this last time. I'm going to ask you every night.
I told you I'm a fake tree guy because of how small my apartment is.
You can't buy a small live tree?
It's a lot harder to upkeep. It's a lot harder to upkeep.
Pro, have you got yours?
Tree Rollins is visiting.
Tree Rollins. That's good. That might be the funniest thing you've ever said. Tree Rollins is visiting.
I'll be here all week.
All right, Dabo Sweeney, the Tigers, they continue practice today. He just wrapped up with the media a few minutes ago.
He did. Gave an update on some of the injured players and also talked about the new frontier that is having to not only dabble bowl preparation, also exams, and the early signing period all wrapped up into one period of time.
We got a good plan. We got a good start Sunday night, just kind of knocked the rust off of them and got focused, and we'll ramp it up a little tonight, going shells tonight, and then tomorrow will be another all finals day for them and recruiting for the staff, and then we'll get after it pretty good Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday will just be meetings. Monday is our community service, and we'll have to walk through another tough practice, a couple tough practices Tuesday, Wednesday, and then that Thursday of next week is graduation. And then we'll wrap it up here on the 22nd. Try to have the game plan done, ready to go, give everybody a break off, a little time off, come back here, travel back to 26, practice here 27th, head to New Orleans. So everything's a little day later. We're playing on the 1st, but we got a good plan, and you know, this is fun for me. I enjoy this time of year because, you know, I think everybody has the same amount of time, but how you use the time is different, and I think that's really what matters. And for us, we kind of get back to fundamentals. First of all, our practice habits. You know, that's the first thing we do, and then we work a lot on Clemson. You know, kind of back to some of our basic installation stuff, and then we'll spend a lot of time on Alabama, obviously getting ready for them, and then we take a lot of time this time of year to develop our team for next year. That's something that we really believe in, and so we're not on the field. Our varsity guys, we're not on the field long. You know, we try to have short, crisp practices this time of year and just build. Because I think one of the things I believe in is too much time for coaches is not good. And so I try to just, you know, really manage the schedule and then we try to get everything done here. So when you do get to the bowl site, you're really just polishing and really getting the details down. But so we got a good plan, and you know, we'll get after it tonight with shells on, and we'll go from there.
You feel like the guys who needed to get healthy since the ACC game have gotten healthier?
Yeah, you know, Trey is going to go in pads tonight. He's the main one that we're really kind of anxious to see. So they're going to cut him loose in shoulder pads tonight. So we'll see how he responds. We're going to take it easy with him and just, you know, go from there, but he's a lot better. He's a lot better. Strength's come back. Just really kind of irritated nerve where that Singer was, but he's doing good. Judah's going to be out. It's crazy, you know. JD had that MCL, and you know, it's like they're twins. It seems like every time their whole life somebody had, you know, JD hurt his hip, Judah hurt his hip, the other hip. You know, and it's like Judah's going to be out. His was an MCL and a little slight PCL, but. Everybody else is good to go. I think we were about as healthy as we've been in a long time in the Miami game. You know, outside of Mark, you know, we thought Mark was going to be able to go, but you know, he should be fine too. We should be in pretty good shape.
Coach, you have your first early signing period coming up in about a week. How much of an additional challenge does that make everything this time of year?
Yeah, it's different, you know, because it's something we've never had to plan for. in this process. So we'll do a signing day thing just like we do in February, because most of our guys will sign. We're going to have at least 7 mid-years probably, and maybe hopefully a few more guys that are coming in January. Not to mention the guys that are committed to us that won't be coming in until the summer, but they'll go ahead and sign on the 20th as well. So it'll be a good day, but we'll have a whole morning thing planned, and it'll be awesome.
Do you like it, or do you wish it was the way it used to be?
No, I like it. I really do, because again, most of our guys are committed, and I think it allows everybody a chance to kind of move on. And we might have depending on what happens with some of our juniors, might have a spot or two to chase in January, but for the most part, it gives us an opportunity to really turn our attention to 2019.
Little appetizer for Dabo, and I find it interesting too. He's not a fan of the too much time. He says too much time is bad for a coach and bad for players. And so much about what this time is about for a lot of teams that are in bowls is to kind of get a sneak peek on spring and to kind of get a sneak peek of what next year is about. And I'm sure Dabo wants to do some of that, but as we've talked about, this bowl atmosphere is a lot different than, say, South Carolina's bowl atmosphere, because the national championship is at stake.
Yeah, that's I mean, look, it's a football game, and South Carolina and Michigan are going to prepare just as hard for their game as Clemson and Alabama will for theirs. Just the stakes are higher,
right?
And you're also under, when you when you go to the media day up there on Wednesday, you'll have the media. Well, first of all, it'll be dominated by ESPN people. They come swarming in on these things.
Mm-hmm.
And
Marty Smith, I'm sure, will be there with his regalia and all that.
Absolutely. And I mean, look, it's their game. I mean, they own the game. They basically own the media for it, and the rest of us are just visiting.
Plus,
to be quite honest with you.
Plus, it'll be on signing day as well, too. So you'll have the additional questions involving that as well.
And the point is, this is the third game, so you want to take a balanced look at this thing and see how much attention they pay to Clemson and Alabama and how much attention that Oklahoma and Georgia gets, which will be an interesting contrast in styles with a team that wants to run it down your throat versus one that wants to throw it all over the lot.
Corn, I don't think they're hiding their enthusiasm over Clemson, Alabama. You know which game is getting more attention on ESPN, and it's Clemson, Alabama.
Which one's going in prime time?
That Clemson, Alabama game.
Yeah, so
they're both technically kind of in prime time-ish. One's like 5 o'clock.
I was on a show in Alabama today, and we were talking about this being the third meeting, and I said to the host, I said, really, this is a turning point for both of these programs in the here and now of college football. If Clemson wins over Alabama, then you have to say that Clemson has supplanted Alabama as the premier college football program in the country in the here and now.
They're the it child now if they win this game.
Conversely, if Alabama wins, then they reestablish themselves. Then, of course, you go to the national championship game and you have to do it all over again. But as far as the comparison between Clemson and Alabama, based on what happens on the field, you win 2 out of 3, this is the opportunity for one of those to do that. You can certainly lay claim.
Especially when you look at the longevity that you think the coach at Alabama will have versus the coach at Clemson, who has several years to go.
I mean, people have been asking that question about Nick Saban over the last couple of years. Are you done? What more do you have to accomplish? Do you want to go to the league? Do you want to retire? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? You wonder how many more runs the Crimson Tide can make at something of this nature, and whether or not the result of this game could dictate a possible light at the end of the tunnel for Saban.
If they don't win a national championship, if they don't beat Clemson, I wonder if we'll see a transition at quarterback in the spring, despite all the great stuff that Jalen Hurts has done. He's not a great passer.
No.
And I'm not even going to attempt his name, the young backup quarterback from Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
Who's supposedly a terrific overall quarterback and thrower. You wonder if Saban might realize that I've got to get a better quarterback, a better passing quarterback in there to take some of the pressure off my running game.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Hey, what?
Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, him. You know who I'm talking about. Okay, IBAC will be joining us here after the break. Tell you about the opportunity to get some of those special Clemson footballs. That's coming up in a moment. Welcome into Sports Talk. Our good buddy Bob Ibach, who has been down at the Major League Baseball owners meetings. We'll talk with him about that in just a moment. Of course, Bob, former PR director with the Chicago Cubs before they were good, during that really dark period of baseball on the north side, right? That's the north side of Chicago.
That's correct.
We don't want to remind Bob about that. But we do want to have Bob here to remind you about these wonderful footballs and this great charity that he is working with once again. Bob, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a long day down here in Orlando. Not a lot of activity going on, but a lot of trades getting ready to be set up, and we can talk about that in a moment. But, a lot of the sports writers and broadcasters that are down here are talking, obviously, about the college football playoffs, the upcoming semifinal games and so forth. And, there's a lot of excitement attached to Clemson. Everybody seems that's the prohibitive favorite. I think everybody I've talked to down here feels they got a really good shot against Alabama, and I'm looking forward to that third straight rematch with these two. It's so far it's a split series, and we've got a special football that once again for the third straight year I'm working on a project for Clemson football fans, tied in with Extra Yard for Teachers, which is the official charity of the college football playoffs, and going to raise a lot of money again for these school teachers throughout the state. And in a moment I'll give folks out a special toll-free number and a website how you can participate and own something I think is going to be very historic and add to your collection of Clemson memorabilia. Wilson's going to actually be producing 5,000 of these full-size footballs for the playoffs like they have the last 2 years. Each one, again, comes with a really nice acrylic display case, so you can have something to protect that football in. It comes with a numbered certificate of authenticity. And everything is officially approved and licensed by the NCAA. They're just $99, and you get that display case with it. And before I give out that phone number, I do want to point out there's a couple really cool panels on this football that I think really makes it different. The first panel has got the Clemson Tiger Paw, that orange logo right there in the center. And flanked on the left side is a little bit about Clemson football history that goes all the way back to 1896. Got some information on there about Memorial Stadium, which opened up in 1942. And then on the right side of the logo, we've got championship history. The titles that the Tigers won in 81, of course, last year. There's also a recognition of their 3 consecutive seasons in the college football playoffs, along with 23 conference championships, 6 division titles, and 3 perfect seasons. So that's all listed on that part of the football. And right below that is a special section we call Season to Remember. It's got all the games listed on there in chronological order, the date, the opponent, final score. It's a great way to recap and remember how the season unfolded for the Tigers. Included in that is that ACC championship win over Miami. And then below that, we've got the Sugar Bowl listing for the Sugar Bowl, which they'll play in New Orleans against Alabama on January 1. And then if they go on to win that game, they'll play the winner of Georgia, Oklahoma on January the 8th, and we'll put that information on the ball pertaining to the Tigers. So these will be produced and sent to you in about 8 weeks after the Tigers' final game. However, when you go to the website that I'll be giving out, you can also download a special Christmas card. You can put in that stocking stuffer and use it for a Clemson fan. So the 2 ways you can get this for $99 with the display case, we set up a toll-free number with the proceeds going to the Extra Yard for Teachers. And the money will stay in the state to help out school teachers and get them some extra funding that they need for their careers, for classrooms and things of that nature. The toll-free number is 1-800-345-2868. And again, that's 1-800-345-2868. Or simply go right to the website. If you can't get through the phone lines, I know they've been busy all day long. You can order it at NIKO.sports.com, and that's spelled NIKCO sports.com. And guys, I'm very happy to say we're up to about $2.4 million.
Wow.
That we've raised just in the last 4 years.
Amazing. Do you get any feel, and I know it's early and you'll get the numbers later on, but I mean, now this is 3 straight years that Clemson fans have had this opportunity to purchase something like this. Do you sense any fatigue on their part, or are they still stepping up and buying these footballs?
Well, you know, the cool thing about it is if you are a true collector, you're going to want to get one of each, because years from now, when they go back and look at this era of Clemson football, you're going to want to have a representation of something from each of these 3 seasons. Because the college football playoffs are so young, it's only the 4th season, and to be in them 3 straight years, winning once and possibly winning a second time this year, we are getting a real good feedback, especially from people who purchased before, because many of those fans and some of the ones who got left out called me later on and called the office and said, geez, I couldn't get in on it because, they're sold out.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing. You got to make sure that with only 5,000, that's what makes these footballs become very valuable down the road. So, you can wait a little bit if you want to take that chance, but I would, if you're a diehard Clemson fan, you want to get something to showcase your love for the school and this whole period of Clemson football, I would suggest you order earlier and then wait around.
These look good, Bob. We're looking at them on the website right now, and as all the products that we've had from you guys these look fantastic.
Yeah, they are. They do a nice job. Wilson is a great company. They take a lot of time. Everything is handmade. These are not just punched out things. They're embossed. All of, as you know, you've seen the footballs before, and with the display case, just the case itself was worth $50. You can't find cases like this. So it's a great deal. For $99, it really is a steal.
Yeah. And the work on the football, and you've talked about this, but the work on the football is so professional and so well done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just very impressive. And listen, it's a terrific holiday gift for a Clemson fan to a Clemson fan, or if you are a Gamecock fan with a Clemson fan on your list, this would be a wonderful gift. Or you're a fan of somebody else with a Clemson fan on your list. I couldn't think of a better holiday gift for a Clemson fan, to be quite honest with you. All right, let's turn the subject very quickly to the winter meetings in Orlando. A lot of activity first part of the week, as you mentioned, a little quieter today. But what was yesterday like?
Well, I'll tell you what, my son is with the Tampa Bay Rays, and I have to say this, I feel for him because I think right now they're going to have to go ahead, and some of these teams that are in the American League East have got to come to a situation where they're going to say, wow, we can't compete with the Yankees. I don't think we can compete with the Red Sox. So you're looking at teams like Baltimore and Toronto and Tampa all of a sudden saying, well, we got to build for the future and retool. So I think what you'll see in the next few days is a team like the Orioles, they're going to lose Manny Machado in a year from now. They'll probably try to maybe see if they can cut some sort of a deal. I heard tonight that even the Yankees, can you imagine this? Machado possibly going and enjoy.
No more people to the Yankees. Come on, Bob.
I know. And now you've got Toronto thinking the same way, and now even my Tampa Bay Rays. I never thought they considered trading Evan Longoria. Now I hear he's on the block, possibly for St. Louis. Archer, the pitcher, the starting pitcher, Chris Archer. I hear my old ball club, the Chicago Cubs, may be going that direction. So I think you're going to see some of these teams literally say, you know what, we cannot compete game season with the New York Yankees and what they have right now. So we have to build for the future. And they look at models like the Cubs did a couple of years ago. They had 3 straight seasons. 4th down, built it up, won a World Series. Houston did the same thing. So teams are starting to see that philosophy.
Kansas City did the same thing.
Kansas City, the same thing. You know what, though? As a purist, I don't like it. I don't like the dumping games. I don't like – you play in baseball, you're having your fans come out, and you're paying good money for these games. You need to be competitive and compete. And I see what Jeter's doing down in Miami.
Yeah.
Same thing. And,
well, as a Yankee fan, I had a lot of fun watching the Yankees last year with the young guys that they brought up, many of them from their system who stepped up and played great baseball. I mean, yeah, getting Stanton is a great pickup. I'm not crazy about buying these players. I like when you can bring them up through your system and they play well and you win. Hey, Bob, we got to run. We thank you. We'll talk to you later in the week.
That sounds good. Listen, have a great night, and thanks again for the great support for the rest of your teachers.
You got it, sir. Thank you.
I had fun watching the Yankees lose to the Astros.
I bet you did. I didn't.
Now back to Sports Talk, South Carolina's most listened to sports talk show for more than 30 years.
Back we are, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from downtown Columbia. Don't forget to check out the website, SportsTalkSC.com. And anytime that you might lose us over the airwaves, you can go to our website and watch us on our YouTube video. Now, and we put the information on the site. There's a little trick that you have to do in most cases because of new security on our webpage. You have to click on the security box in your browser to load the video from YouTube, or just go to our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, go to our YouTube channel, and you can watch us there.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel because you get basically notified anytime our video goes live.
Yes, absolutely. And it's all free. So we are here on Sports Talk. We're not charging you $9.99 a month. We're not offering you a free month to sucker you in.
No pop-up ads either.
No, we're all free. We're free all the time. That's what we're worth. We're worth free, I guess.
Or reasonable.
You're paying what we're worth.
Just don't tell everyone. Hey, by the way, our company got in the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. Did you see that?
I did not see that, but congratulations to us.
I thought they created
Who's representing
the Missouri
us?
Hall of Fame.
I have no idea. Maybe you. Yeah. Maybe you should go back there.
I don't know. I've only stepped foot in Missouri one time. No, I take that back. Twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I doubt it would be me. My guess is it would be Clyde Lear or Mr. Brownfield. I don't remember his first name.
Mr. is probably fine.
Mr. Well, he would be if he walked in the door. He would be Mr. Brown.
For you, that'd be for you.
And and Clyde would be Mr. Lear if he walked in the doors.
I'd call him Clyde.
Would you really?
I have a.
I don't think you'd be sitting there very long.
I have a mutual friend with.
Of course
Clyde
you
Lear.
do.
Mutual friend of Clyde Lear.
Of course you do. What am I thinking? You probably went to his wedding and spent the night at his house.
Clyde Lear and I have a mutual friend.
Of course you do. Okay.
It's always the case.
Ever tell you my story about my first meeting with Joe Moglia in his office at Coastal Carolina?
No.
So I meet Joe Moglia for the first time. You know Joe Moglia?
Yes, the coach of Coastal, yes.
Well, but do you know Joe Moglia?
I wouldn't say I know him as well as you.
No. Do you know his background?
Daddy Warbucks.
You know he's a billion-dollar coach.
Yes.
Well, he says he's not billions, just several hundred millions.
Yes.
Off Wall Street.
Yes.
Okay, so you know that.
Yes.
So we're meeting for the first time. Great guy. Of course, he's a great guy. And sitting down Bermuda shorts and sandals and got his feet up on the desk. We're talking about Omaha. And because I go to Omaha quite a bit for the World Series, and we're talking about this restaurant. We couldn't remember the name. And so he speed dials his office in Omaha, which is the home of TD Ameritrade that he is the chairman of the board of. And he goes, "Hey, Martha," he goes, "what's the name of that restaurant downtown that Warren and I like to go have lunch at?"
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
It's called a buffet. Oh, Buffett.
He wasn't talking about Warren Beatty.
You call it Boy Buffett. Warren Buffet.
Yeah, I wonder who picks up the check between those two. Hopefully, Coach Moglia is doing well and getting better, and he'll be back with the Chanticleers making his return to the sideline in Columbia, of all places.
Quite a name drop from Joe Moglia, Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. Well, but for Joe Moglia, that's not a name drop.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not as well known in billionaire circles as Warren Buffett, but he sits right there with them, you know. Okay, let's bring you some more Tigers.
Cleveland Farrell was named to the AP's All-America team on Monday, of course, being a big part of that Clemson defense, which has gotten them to the Sugar Bowl. He spoke last week about Tigers going to a third consecutive game against Alabama.
I mean, we didn't really know who we were gonna get, but now that we know that it is Bama, I mean, I'm really excited, and so are a lot of other guys on the team. You know, obviously, whichever team it was gonna be, with either Bama or Ohio State. You know, obviously we got history with both of them, and to go against Bama, you know, we feel like it's kind of really no excuse now for anybody to say that we haven't beat the best teams in the country. You know, hopefully we get that chance to go out there and beat Bama and hopefully go on to the national championship and beat the team who wins the other game. So we're really excited for this opportunity, definitely.
How much does familiarity with the team help in the game of this next?
I mean, it can be a large help, but it can also be, you know, a big wall for them. For us, because obviously they know a lot about us too. So they know what we like to do. We know what they like to do. But at the end of the day, when you get into games like this, it all comes down to, you know, just players making plays, winning your one-on-one matchup. Scheme doesn't win games like this. You know, you never see in games like this. You rarely see a lot of people saying, "Oh, wow, that was a great play call." And these games like these, you always say, "Man, what a play that guy made," or "Look at how well that guy's playing." So we all know that, you know, obviously it's good to have a good understanding of what teams are going to do. But at the end of the day, you know, players got to go out there and make plays, and it's about the players at the end of the day.
Sometimes blowouts aren't fun to play. I mean, I guess they can be, but Frank last year, man, I was out there having the time of my life.
Oh man, it's right up there. I mean, it don't get no bigger than that. You know, obviously it was the rematch last year. You know, they beat us the year before. And you come back out there, two heated team with a lot of superstars on that field, a lot of NFL guys on that field in Tampa. I mean, it really don't get no bigger than that. So that's right up there. It was like, I feel like one of the best national championships in the history of college football, definitely.
Because you beat these guys last year, obviously Alabama's been the standard bearer for the last decade or so. Could this be kind of a passing of the torch moment, you feel, in some regards? Because if you get them 2 out of 3, you're number 1 right now. They had to kind of almost politic their way into this thing.
I don't know. You know, who knows? Obviously, you know, we really just focused on ourselves. You know, we want to be that dynasty, you know, one day. Towards that, but you know, that's not really for us to really talk about. That's more for, you know, the fans and the people around college football and the people who really watch the game to really decide on and stuff like that. And when we're done playing, we can definitely decide on, have our thoughts into it as well. But as a player, you know, you can't really think about that as much, just because you don't want that to be, you know, your main focus and things like that. But I definitely do feel like, you know, we're right there with any team in the country as far as, you know, how well we played for this decade. We're having this is the best decade of Clemson football in the history of the school. And I feel like, you know, people are going to talk about these past couple of years of how we've been playing ball, you know, for a long time to come, definitely.
This obviously is part 3, but they have a different coordinator. They've, you know, some of their big guys are gone as well. Do you see much different from them when you've seen them tape from what you've got in the last couple of years?
It's a little bit different concepts, but obviously they still run a pro-style offense. I know they got a coordinator from the Patriots, but I mean, it's a little bit different. But at the end of the day, it's still Bama. It's still, they want to run the ball, and then they want to throw off of that. They're still a very tough physical team. They play great defense. No matter how many guys they got hurt on defense, it don't really matter. And you know Nick Saban gonna have them guys ready to play. So at the end of the day, it really just comes down to getting your game plan down and then just going out there and having success as far as, you know, just focusing on the little things out there, definitely, because the margin of error in games like this becomes lesser and lesser.
Cleveland Farrell. And we'll hear more from the Tigers this week. Buddy Pugh talked to the Charleston Post and Courier, and here are a few of his comments since the announcement came down last night. 64 years old. He'll sign a 1-year extension through next season, or has signed one. That will be his final season. He said, quote, "After next season, I won't be coaching here. As far as I can see, I won't be back after 2018. You have to take the bitter and the sweet. I'm okay with things. I've been here 17 years as head coach, and I've got more than 41 years in the state system. So I've been fortunate to be here this long." He continued the following in typical Buddy fashion: "I'm in my mid-60s, and at that point, they start to look to put you out to pasture. When you've been here as long as I have, sometimes there's some complacency on both sides. I think both sides might need a fresh start. We want to finish on a high note and make sure that we go out like like we should." He went on to say, quote, "I'm not sure what I'll do. We've talked about some possibilities. If you keep doing a good job, they'll figure out somewhere to put you. I think somebody will find something for me to do either here or somewhere else. I think I can still be of value to somebody, but it may be time for me to go to the house." Buddy Pugh. He is a character, I'm going to tell you what. And he had some interesting times when he was the running backs coach at South Carolina. They had a running back by the name of Derek Watson.
Yes.
I think as Lou Holtz told him, your main job is to make sure Derek gets out of bed, gets to class, and gets to practice. And I think he took that to heart. And I think he was knocking on Derek's door practically every day.
Enjoy your trip to Spartanburg. So how do the folks at the Beacon for me?
I shall. Yes, indeed.
No, you're talking about deep frying everything.
Yes. If you like deep frying, that's the place to go. We'll be at up in Spartanburg for practice in the morning. Get you some menus and have them back here tomorrow night. Plus more from the Tigers. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.